So the question is, what are we all doing in this world? Most of the people don't have any answer, no clear-cut answer. And you say, okay, I was young, I got bigger, I got older, I studied, and then I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But you're not really doing it. Your age is increasing by itself. And you're forced to make a living. So you try to select the best possible career that will bring you more money or whatever your goal is. But you're like in a big crowd where you're not really attempting to walk. The crowd is just pushing you. And you're not doing anything, or you're making decisions based on the situations, but you really don't have a plan of the life. Nobody does. So if we really put emphasis on what I did and what I achieved and all those things, it just happened in your life without any plan. Even if you say, okay, I wanted to be a doctor and I became a doctor, or I wanted to do this and all that. But based on what? Based on what other people told you, that what this society is about, this and that. There is nothing spontaneous about our thinking. There is no spontaneity about our actions. So the answer is not going to be simple. What are we all doing here? But one thing for sure, that everybody is to be happy. Whether you're doing wrong thing or right thing, it doesn't matter. You want to be happy. Even if you want to make money and become rich, why do you want to have money and become rich? So that you can have more happiness. That's what we think. So we all are running after happiness that stays forever. But the reality of the life says money might stay longer than you had hoped for, or you were worried about, whatever. But that doesn't mean it's gonna bring the happiness. In fact, people get rut into keep making money and never see happiness. So, but by the time it's too late, because you're already into that cycle and you can't get out of it. So the question is, we all want to be happy, but is sansar capable of delivering what we want? Now, sansar is a collection of impermanent things, whether it's objects or people or situation. Everything has its own time. President Obama also will die someday, just like Alexander did or Genghis Khan did. You will die, I will die, everybody will die. So this sansar, which is impermanent, cannot produce anything permanent. It's obvious. You go to a mango tree and you say, no, I want bananas out of it. It doesn't happen because the tree produces only mangoes. So same way, sansar cannot give you anything permanent, but it does one thing, gives you promises. Yes, yes, I'll take you there. I'll take you there. I'll take you there. Ego keeps on running, and ego is our foolishness, that we believe that there is happiness somewhere, which will become a permanent happiness. And before you know, the life comes to an end. So what happened here? So I was listening to Osho, and he gave a beautiful example. It's about an English author. I forgot the name. So while he was going for a walk, suddenly a neighborhood kid, came and talked to him. He was very frustrated. He said, uncle, I went to your house and I wanted a camera, but your servant was there. He said, no, you're not going to have it. How can he refuse? After all, he's a servant. This is English society, right? So how can he refuse? So the author, he says, yeah, you're right. He doesn't have any right to say no. Me being here, how can he say no? Come on, let's go. Let's find out what happened. So he goes with the kid, goes back to the house, brings the servant in front of the kid, and he said, kid, complain about him. He says, yes, Your Honor, your servant refused to give me the camera. So the author got very angry, and he got angry on the servant. He says, if I'm not here, don't take responsibilities of refusing things. It's my things. I take a decisions. So it was not appropriate for you to say it. So until I say no, nothing counts. So you should not have said anything. So all this drama is going on. And then the author says, okay, now I'm going to take the situation under my control. So then he turns to the kid and he tells them, I don't have a camera. How can I give it to you? So all that rigmarole went through. He took the kid, and kid had so much hope that he's going to get the camera. At the last minute, when all this drama is fulfilled, getting scolding at the servant and getting angry at him, this and that, all that, at the end, it says, I don't have camera. That incidence is so much to learn. Mind gives you promises. I will deliver, I will deliver, I will deliver. Now, how old are we now? We have passed so many decades. Has it ever delivered? Maybe a few glimpses here and there, but that's it. And those glimpses don't last long. But we are looking for a permanent happiness, but it's not possible. And at the end of the life, it's going to say, oops, I'm sorry, I can't keep my promise. So this is what the ego does. Ego makes you believe that there is going to be permanent pleasure out of samsara, but it never delivers its promises. So this is where the problem is. So we believe the ego so much, and that's why we have an issue. If you really want to find out where did the ego come from, somebody had asked the question in our group. He says, what is this connection between the consciousness and the thoughts and the actions? Nobody knows. So the same way your thought that I am so and so, I am so and so, I know this and so, all these things, and where did it come from? Ultimately, it cannot give you the origin of it. It's almost having a dog. His breed is not known, right? It's so important for the dog owners to know the breed so that you can predict how the dog is going to behave. But that's the problem with ego. Nobody knows. You keep going down and down into meditative state, and you try to find out the source. Where did this belief come from that I am this body? The body which is already going continuously. It is continuously in a growing stage. It is changing all the time. Every breath, every heartbeat, you're changing. You're shedding so many cells and making new cells. And this process is going on. It's not one fixed body. But where did the belief come that this body is me? It's not even my body. I'm saying this is me. That is so hilarious, but it's also a foolishness, and it has a lot of consequences because we are wasting our important time with an entity which does not have fixed origin. We cannot explain where the ego came from. And more than anything, we believe its promises that there is going to be permanent pleasure. It's never going to be a permanent pleasure. It's like a bucket. You throw it into the well to get the water out, but the bucket does not have a bottom. We keep putting into the well and trying to bring it out, and there is no water there. And he says, why there is no water? Because it's a wrong container that you're carrying. Ego is not the method to get you permanent happiness, permanent joy. So that's why we need to change the direction to go to an entity which is permanent by default. And that entity is your soul, your inner consciousness. And that's where the journey should be going. Despite hurting your ego, despite fighting your ego will hurt. Ego will fight. Ego will give you a hard time to go beyond itself. Who wants to die? But you have to be bold, courageous, and go in the direction where there is a permanent entity which also can give you permanent pleasure. And the time to do that is now, because ego gives you the glimpses. It just gives you bodily pleasures, sensual pleasures, eating, drinking, smelling, touching, all those sensations are for the body, which is going to disappear. So all those pleasures don't last long. Even if you eat one gulab jamun, the first one tastes so delicious. First sip of beer tastes so amazing, but then second and third and fourth doesn't do it. Right in that moment, you realize that the pleasure has started failing away. After 5 or 6 gulab jamun, then you want to hit the guy. He says, no more, I don't want it anymore. So it shows that the pleasures derived from the sansar are kshanik, they are impermanent. So we need to rethink our direction, where to look for a permanent pleasure. And the pleasure has a new definition within, which is permanent enjoyment. Permanent joy is the state of bliss. And that we can find it only through meditation. So meditate, go deep within, change the direction, and see what happens. Let the mind go. Let the ego go. There is nothing, it hasn't done anything special for you in your life. So realize that, learn from it, wake up, and go within, because every time you believe the ego, you are in a trance state. You are in a mesmerized state. It gives you the promises. I'll give you this pleasure, that pleasure, this pleasure, that pleasure. Does not ever deliver. So don't fall for it. Bhagwan Buddha, when he reached enlightenment, that was the last thing he was communicating with his mind. And in Buddhist language, they call Mara. Mara is the man. And Mara was promising him that I'm going to give you all the riches, all the fame in the world. But at that point, Buddha had made up his conviction that that is not the path. So he remained firm, and then he reached enlightenment. So that is the path to go. We all need to go within. There is a permanent source of joy. You cannot find it anywhere. And it cannot give you anything less either, because consciousness is permanent. Just like the mango tree gives only mangoes, same way, the permanent state of consciousness always gives you permanent joy. So you have to believe it and go within. All right, so much for today.